Mr. Amit Sharma, IAS Secretary, Mining Department, UT of Jammu and Kashmir. A huge round of applause. Can we have some energy in the house? A huge round of applause, please. Mr. Pranay Singh, IAS Commissioner, Varanasi Municipal Corporation and CEO, Varanasi Smart City Limited. A huge round of applause. I would also like to call upon Mr. G.S. Naveen Kumar, IAS Special Secretary, Health and Family Welfare, Government of Andhra Pradesh. In the next one? Okay. Dr. Sriram Birudavolu, sorry for the pronunciation, CEO, Cybersecurity, Center for Excellence, T-Hub, Telangana. Huge round of applause. Mr. Jitendra Vijay, CEO, MeitY, Startup Hub, Government of India. Huge round of applause. Mr. K. Rajasekhar, ex-Deputy Director General and SIO, National Informatics Center, Telangana. Mr. Rajiv Desai, Head Strategic Engagements, Products and Solutions, Tata Communications IoT. A huge round of applause, please. Mr. Gopinath S, Senior Technical Director and NKN Coordinator, NIC Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Mr. D.K. Das, Executive Vice President and Head Government Business, Axis Bank. Unfortunately, he's not being able to join because of some health issues. And last but definitely not the least, Mr. Hitesh Vaidya, Associate Director, Head for Government and Banking Business, Acer. A huge round of applause. Right, so Mr. Abhinav, this panel is all yours. Please take it away. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Very good afternoon to all and everybody in this room. I know we got some tall order ahead of us because I was reading somewhere the top 3 most stressful things for the digital generation. The number 1 was you're watching Game of Thrones and your phone is at 5% without the charger. The second one is if your kid, do people have kids here? Anybody? Everybody? Okay, getting your teenage son or daughter to leave the mobile phone, that's the second most stressful thing, right? And third is to keep digital people up and awake after a very sumptuous meal outside. So I keep in some eyes, but we'll try our best to get that out. So I think the topic today is very, very pertinent, right? Because I think this digital as a word we've kind of come to accept as going to be part of our lives, right? So you put digital in front of everything, it goes today, right? It's acceptable. But I think the big change is like, what we picked out. Look, what's the future in it, right? What's the next step, right? And then we've seen digital has fundamentally altered businesses. It's caused tectonic changes in the way businesses are done, how governments operate, how startups have kind of completely redefined how businesses are, right? So clearly, there's more to this, and there's a lot of this influx that businesses need to be comfortable with going forward. So one key point that sort of emerges from there is, look, what is the driving force behind this? What's the mindset? And I think today the panel is about can we go deeper and understand what is that driving force mindset that changes it, right? And if I draw a simple parallel, right? If you go back about 5-10 years, when the IT transformation happened, right? It was like opening up a tap, literally. So there's a tap, there's pressure, and you see water flowing through. And now what we're talking about in the digital era is essentially opening the floodgates of a dam, right? So suddenly, the world has become exponentially more complicated, and it's come to a point where it's about technology. And if I just do a simple parallel, look at digital marketing or marketing in general, right? So it started by saying, look, there are segmentation of people, try to do some bit of message for each of that segments. Then it went to say, look, let's talk about real-time profile, real segmentation, what's happening. And now it's come to a point where saying, let me predict what will be your need in the future and then address it, right? So clearly things have changed. So with that, let me open it to the panel. My first question to you, sir. Look, we know that digital is changing us. And as business leaders, how do you really make sure you both understand what's the next on the horizon and also make it real for businesses today, right? How do you build and sort of elaborate on that whole thread?
Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks to the organizers for this opportunity. You know, the session was talking about digital first, you know. And yeah, and it's very pertinent that whenever you talk of doing something, whether in terms of business, in terms of governance or something, you always talk in terms of, you know, how do I use the digital platforms for delivering those services or to do whatever you want. I come from the National Security Council Secretariat. Okay. And from that perspective, so we have, you know, lots of exciting services, lots of exciting products that have been talked about throughout the day. Of course, we did have couple of sessions on, you know, security. But coming from the National Security Council Secretariat, you know, and you know, that's a perspective I would like to bring, because I think looking at the panel, other than Mr. Sriram, who also happens to be from that domain, most of them are from the some other domain. So I think this is a focus that I would like to bring in my talk here. We talk of digital first. I'm going to talk of security first. Specifically with the reason that, you know, whenever we look at any solution development, you know, you look at what are the features that solution should have to serve the purpose. Security is, you know, thought of after you complete the design of that solution. It's a retrofit or something, so after all that comes. But I think that, you know, when you look at this set of requirements that you come up and then you sit down in that room to design your product, security also should be one set of the requirement that comes about. And that is something that's missing nowadays. And from the perspective I bring is that when you sit in that room and then start looking at what is that I'm trying to serve, I think security is one thing that you should put on the table at that point of time, so that when you architect the solution, both in terms of how the software is architected, how the you know, hardware is architected, how the processes are architected, you would actually look at solution also as being something that has to be met right at that point of time. And that's when you get a very robust solution. Because if you start designing a solution to meet the other requirements and then try to retrofit security after that, it doesn't really come down very well. So that's one message that I really would like to give to the audience here, that many of them are users, and when they sit down with their vendors and all of that, they put that right at the top. And I'm also taking it from a very recent example that I've got, because we were from our office getting something developed, and we had a meeting with the, you know, developers, and they went through all the requirements that are there. You know, security was not there. So we told them to go back and then come back later on, a month later. I said that now you think of security as the initial requirement and come back now with the architecture. And I'll tell you, there was a heaven and hell difference between the way they had architected in the first meeting and the way architected later on when they include security in that. So, okay. I think that is sufficient emphasis on that point. Now, there are other things that I would like to bring in, you know, the initiatives that are taking place for security. I don't know if I've deviated from your question, but I've got an audience that I think that I would like to address based on this. And it has something to do with governance and national security perspective. So from all of us, you know, we're looking at creating national level, you know, initiatives that make market difference in the way, you know, the whole digital ecosystem functions. Because whatever initiatives we take, trust is one thing that has really to be protected. And if you want people to really come onto the platforms, and that is, trust is something that has to be sustained over a period of time. And you know, there are a lot of citizens who are coming onboarded, they're not really digital literate. And even those who are digital literate, you know, get thugged. So it's, you know, I foresee, I don't know if you've heard of the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center is one initiative of the Ministry of Home Affairs that's been started. And there are different verticals under that. And that's a very good initiative, of course, with the states coming on board, and you will find there's a platform where people can report your cybercrime, and on the back end, build up the systems so that, you know, the crime also get addressed. So that is one important initiative that's there. 1930 is the number that you can dial and report a cybercrime. That's one important part. Then at the national level, you know, when you have to look at the gross traffic that is there and then find out if any malicious activity is there, the National Cyber Security Coordination Center is one, where at the metadata level, you know, we have probes across on the networks at different places, pick up metadata and then look at it and do predictive analysis of any attacks that are coming and then try to protect the national cyberspace. So that's one. Then we've also created a national malware repository. We have got more than 90 million malware samples in that now, as of now. And we're just second to Virus Total. I mean, our aim is to overtake that, and we'll shortly do that. The official launch has not taken place, but within the government, there are certain institutions which have started using that. And we shortly, within maybe a period of a month or something, we'll have a formal official launch, a worldwide launch, so that that malware repository, and we'll also have MOUs with different private sector entities so that they can put malware samples into that repository and also take malware samples out from that for their own research purposes and for building products and services. We'll also provide access to the academic community to do their own research on that. Then, one of the things that we have observed about the critical information infrastructure is the variety in the way that, they architect their own security solutions, depending on own understanding of how it should be done. So there was a need felt that we should have a national, we could say that a reference architecture, cybersecurity reference architecture, which would be sector specific, so that people would have an idea that, what are the minimum baseline entities that should go into a CII for protecting that. So that's another initiative that's taken up, and I'm coming from Pune. We're doing a project review for that there. So this is one another thing that at the national level, and a national threat exchange. So where you can ingest all the threat information and also share it with different people. So I think a lot of things that are there. So as I said, security is a journey. It's not that we have reached a destination, and it's a moving target that happens. So capacity building is one part, because if the right person's at the right places, lots of things get done. The first thing is to get the right person, and capacity building is one. In this also, I think NASSCOM has taken a lot of initiative with the Skills Council, along with the Skills Council in that regard. But we also asked the NCIIPC to come up with a certification framework, both for training of providers, cybersecurity training providers, and the certification agencies, and also for the certification of individuals who do that, along with the grading of the type of skills that are required into that. One of the initiatives in this regard is, CISO is a very important component of that. Most of the organizations don't have that. And many of the organizations that do, it would be a secondary assignment, like if you say the Department of Horticulture, you would be an expert in horticulture and you would be asked to look after the role of CISO, and that's not something that should be done. So the Bharat CISO program of the Rashtriya Raksha University, it's another institution under the MHA out of Gujarat. They have started a Bharat CISO program, and that I think is a very good initiative, because then you would have a CISO as a person who would be a focal point for actually proliferating cybersecurity into the organization. So these, and with the NCIIPC and these things happening, and having, capacity and capability building within the country in this area, I think we should, as a country, become the go-to destination for cybersecurity. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So I think you hit a very, very important note here, which is the future digital mindset has to be curated on this element of trust, right? So the trust is sort of the core principle and which leaders should adopt and adapt as they transverse that journey, right? So with that, let me call on Dr. Sriram. I think you also come from a cyber thread. How do you see this whole, embedding trust in across journeys, whether it's customer, B2B, B2C, or G2C? How do you embed trust in that journey?
Yes, thank you for the question, and thank you for this wonderful forum in which we are discussing all of these. So I think Narendra has raised many points, very valuable points, and about the initiatives also is mentioned. Now, in the interest of time, I'll not repeat many of them, and also I'll keep my thing short so that the other panelists get opportunity. So as part of DSCI and Telangana Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, which is the collaboration between Telangana government and Data Security Council of India. Data Security Council of India is the cybersecurity wing of NASSCOM, for those of you who do not know. So we are here based in Hyderabad and connected with the larger ecosystem. So we advocate two things. He has mentioned security by design, number one. Number two, which is in the wings, is privacy by design. Okay, so these two things should be part and parcel of everything. Okay, whatever is. So that is one thing. The second thing is that we have to appreciate that there are various forces at play. Like the entire day has, there were many sessions and all. There is technology, there is business, and of course there are regulations, and there are innovations, collaborations. All of these are the whole different forces at play, and of course there is a talent. So with all of these, it is necessary to craft something that is comprehensive and not piecemeal. That means point-wise solutions, going on adding, patching, and all of these things. At the same time, we should not be caught in a position where there's a big vendor lock-in and it is one big clunky thing and innovations are completely stifled and you cannot really move ahead. So that would again be the trade-off there. So one has to make very careful choices there so that it paves the way for innovations and all these new things, whereas you're able to leverage a completely comprehensive platform architecture. So, which is the other approach. So, the essential idea, of course, of this entire digital transformation and digital first is that you get more done with less, you embed intelligence in everything, and the other part, especially starting with those which are called the 3Ds, that is dull, dirty, and dangerous jobs, which are all the things that are simply automated or transformed. Okay, in that process, because it's a connected world and everything is getting digitalized, everything of value. If you look at the value chain, many things are being digitalized, right? The digital transformation happens first, and then only, of course, the physical one happens. That means the value is more there. It's almost treated as the last leg. The physical one is treated as the last leg of the chain, which is automated and maybe in highly automated factories or in low-cost countries. Those are the ones that are developed. And with 3D printing and all, even that is getting automated heavily. So with these kinds of innovations and all racing ahead, it is very natural that you rush ahead and build something. Now, you need to bear in mind that for everything there is security. Security is inherently, it is not something, now just to repeat like what Narendra has said, that it is not something that you retrofit. Now, even if you look at very natural systems, biological systems, our own human body, you'll find that white blood cells are part and parcel of the body. There are inherent defense mechanisms in almost every natural system. Otherwise, they will wither and vanish, go away. Evolution will not take them further. So it is something to be treated as very natural, the part of the whole thing. It is not something abnormal that you retrofit and think about it later. So whether it is automotive security or cloud or different areas, embedded systems and IoT security and all that, you have to think about these factors very early on, and you have to think about them in a comprehensive approach. And that is the reason why industry bodies like ours are there, the frameworks, the standards, the different technologies, how they bring together all of these. These are the things where you can learn more. So I will, I think, pause there. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, sir. I think, again, very, very valid points you put. It's important for, a lot of this mindset to evolve, the collaboration between government, private bodies, and sort of, institutions to really elaborate and expand on that idea. So with that, I think my next question goes to Amit. Very interesting question, and I've been in this space, digital transformation, about 15 years now. The question that you encounter more often is, look, I'm from a business which is predominantly analog. It's old school, right? My customers still operate offline. So look, why is that digital important to me, right? And coming from a industry sector which is historically known to be analog in its very essence, how do you transcend that journey? How do you get people and your stakeholders to think with that digital first mindset?
Right, Abhinav, thank you. Thanks to the organizers for having us on board out here in this all-important conclave, which relates to digital transformation. And I would like to say that regarding a very interesting thing, it is all about the minds. So what we are doing, like you are into a business, you are trying to implement certain things through your work, and
the policy makers, when we are sitting, we also sometimes have this thing in mind that we are planning something, we are creating something. How much acceptability it will have among us, the stakeholders, especially the public. Because see, we design systems and we believe that they will ease out the things, like ease of living, ease of doing things. And like you rightly said, some things become addictive. When the mobile phones and those things got invented or came into the being, especially, I remember those days when we used to talk that there'll be an era when the phones with buttons will vanish and only touch phones will come. And we were thinking, is it practically possible? Will it ever happen? Because this is most important. The technology, when it exists at that time, it is impossible to believe. Like, I'll talk about a very more practical example. We were in an era of tapes, be it audio tapes or video tapes or whatever. People were talking that things will be in the form of a CD or, you know, those discs, then CDs, then those things. And then they said that they'll be virtually. Nothing would be required, like there'll be clouds and those. So it was almost impossible. These days, it's very strange if somebody carries a disk in the hand or, you know, even a hard disk drive. The one is like odd one out amongst the people. So what I'm trying to say, like, you never know, you don't know. Sometimes you predict, you try to find out, but actually when it comes to ground zero, next few months decides the whole fate of the story. So here I would like to say that, yes, we have to have proper interpolation, proper thought process has to go within when you have to introduce something. I'll give you another example from our side of things. As Secretary Mining, I have introduced a very innovative thing in Jammu and Kashmir, which I believe even many other states are into or experimenting with, which is like e-marketplace for the sale of all mining material. Just on the lines of Amazons and Flipkarts, we have created a perfect playing ground for all the lessees, for all the stakeholders, be it crushers or everybody, and they have to sell necessarily through that. And we also have introduced e-challan. So, being rightly pointed out by a few friends out sitting here in the esteemed panelists, that security angle has to be seen. Few other very important thing, capacity building has to be seen, like you were very rightly pointing out, and many other things. But at the same time, public, we have to see the acceptability also. So now what we did a proper hand holding, like still the process is going on. All the stakeholders, especially the cops, the police people. Yesterday only I took a a long review meeting with all the 20 district DMs as well as SSPs, and I took their first-hand experience. So even police walas are not actually aware about the technology. This is G2B2C, a different kind of portal, where each challans are being issued government to business and then to citizen, further placing the orders. So it's a unique kind of website, a different initiative. So I said, let's train them first. Let's build their capacity. The primary stakeholders, that is tomorrow they should not stop the vehicles who are carrying the mining material. They should not say this is illegal. What is this e-challan? What is this QR code? They have to be made, first of all, understand the things. So this is how we have to go step by step, and definitely stakeholders, people's interest is the prime most, and we must go as per their pulse. This is the beauty of a good launch. I believe the future of digital world belongs to future interpolations, the way you can think henceforth, like after 5 years, what would be and how best we can fit in our systems, or we will perish. We have already seen the stories of Nokias and those who did not, they simply perish. So this is how we have to think and survive. I think this holds a very good key, and I stand by with what you said, and we are on for it for all times to come, be it at the state level, UT level, or central level. Whatever we plan, whatever we think, we should have a kind of think tank should be there. Like you see, startups have done wonderfully well. Today only, we heard Prime Minister today afternoon in the ongoing session, he said that we are the hub of startups, 70,000 and 100 plus unicorns. Unbelievable. We have become, I believe, the focal point, because we could interpolate that this is the future. So definitely thinking about the stakeholders, about their interests, the way they think about the thing and the way they have to be involved. The key of success lies in this formula, mantra lies there. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. I think that deserves a round of applause there. Uh, and I think I echo two thoughts very strongly. I think one, whenever you go about digital transformation, think holistically. It's beyond just a system design, right? It has to go to the people process on ground level. And I think second part, which I also have seen in practice is look, this whole digital is about mindset. At some level, it's imagination combined with engineering, right? So imagineering is a term I often use, but that's critical to think differently and think beyond where the market maturity is, right? So with that, let me quickly call upon our next. So, Mr. Pranay, you've had an amazing experience journey building up the city of Varanasi, right? Would love to know your thoughts, right? You know, any city operations needs multiple levels of stakeholders, right? And even the support system and staff that stands behind it. How did you manage to enable each of these stakeholders to think digital, think first, think technology, and then really drive that experience through for the citizens?
Thank you, Abhinav. First, I would like to thank my fellow panelists. And I think the point sir made before me, that acceptability at the end user level. We are essentially working in a G2C environment. Whatever we design, it may be marvelous for us. But if the end result is, it is not user friendly, use design, there was in previous session mention of governance layer, which I will talk about later, then it's a complete failure for us and for the end user also. Just to give an example, whenever we try to implement something in our organization, or many of my seniors have also faced this, there is this first concept of apprehension whether public will adopt it or whether it's too, so much digital or tech savvy, whether they can adopt it. What I think today in government sector also, in corporation sectors, at the level we are working, if we are proactive, then that is getting accepted. Acceptance is no longer an issue. Everyone has seen the example of COVID portal and COVID certificate. From day zero, it was clear it's a digital thing. And it's highly successful. Similar is the case with, I have personally faced and many have also experienced. 4 years back, I think when we used to come to airport, we used to take a printout. Okay, show your ticket printout, only then it will be an entry. And many of my seniors also have faced it. Now today we carry a mobile digital. So at that point, the governance layer comes, that the person who is checking your ticket, whether he has been directed efficiently, you can see digital and you can allow entry. I can say I have made a digital system, I have a digital ticketing system, I have booked my ticket from MeitY or any other portal. If at the end I am taking a printout and I have to show it at airport, that whole idea gets defeated there. So that governance layer, the direction, efficient monitoring and direction to that person sitting at the gate, you can accept digital and you can allow it to go. That's the end user experience which we are talking about. It may be different for someone else, but I think our daily use basis scenario, like a birth simple thing which a million people in every municipal corporation use, birth death certificate, mutation, and some other municipal services. If I am not interlinking that, then there is a failure on part of our service delivery mechanism. If I have a birth registry, I am issuing a digital birth certificate which is connected with Government of India portal. So whatever schemes in future I am planning to give to them, that should come from that. With the incremental approach of, okay, you have a bank account now, add it to that. That database gets added incrementally, and then the issue of security comes. Where will that data get secured? How that data doesn't get leaked or we can compromised. Personally, at the execution level, what we are seeing, it's a very welcome change. People are comfortable with digital technology right now. A capacity building which a COVID given an opportunity in disguise, like people are now ready to adopt it. Our lower level staff, which is at the cutting edge level, the person who has to deal with that normal public or public coming at the tax collection counter, they are happy to adopt that digital thing. That's the main difference. 4 years back, I am taking a certificate. Personally, we the people also used to collect certificates. Okay, my passport is here, my this thing is here, that too in a hard copy. And we are the people who are digitally more aware 3 to 4 years back. I think that transformation is happening, but if we are proactive, COVID certificate is a perfect example. Or you may see whenever we have a proactive approach, we are succeeding. At the end of level, even in municipal corporation, what you are saying in Varanasi, we are using a use case, planning a use case with IISC, where our ITMS system, which was done under Smart City, gets integrated with the use case of waste management, how to reduce the redundancy of the circle or trips which a corporation vehicle makes and save the government exchequer. That's the idea. I will not take too much time. I'll just give up one example, which coming yesterday, I thought, if I come into hotel, or I have to give my physical ID, and the hotel has to scan it, that's not digital. If we are coming, we should give our biometric ID, it gets done. We have a database for it. We have a certain technical capability, India has it. So that may be the digital first or digital future mindset which we are talking about. Why should I carry an iCard to give it to a that can scan, then that gets a hard copy? So I think personally that's the digital first mindset which we are moving. Maybe 2 years down the line, people who are working at the forefront policy level, they will appreciate it and they will accept it. Maybe 2 years down the line, we are only showing our thumb impression and we're doing many things. So my input is like that.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I think there's some interesting use cases you threw. I think challenges to the room and all the business out there to create more solutions which are tech-enabled and tech-centric. And look, you got all the support from the government side, right? So I'm going to just do hop, skip, jump to our last panelist there. So I didn't want to put a structure that you come in last.
Thanks.
So my question to you is very simple. Look, technology usually calls for investment and ROI, right? And while digital has attracted and a lot of investments have gone down this road, as you look into the future, you ball gaze, how do you see this ROI to be sustainable, right? Does it mean that you keep investing money and then something interesting comes out of it? Is there a structure to that process? How should businesses, at least in their mindset, adapt this investment behind digital transformation?
Yeah, thanks, Abhinav. That's a wonderful question. In fact, that's the first discussion in any of the organization which happens whenever we have to make an investment. And definitely a lot of investment going on in India, in Indian ecosystem, considering all the digital revolution that is happening in this country. We as an organization, I represent Acer. I mean, we are the hardware manufacturer, having global factories from where we have been importing the products for a long time. But in last 20 years of our existence in India and the way we have seen the transformation happening in last 10 years, there's a lot of ecosystem development which has happened, which helps in aiding manufacturing and Make in India initiatives in India. Acer has been in the forefront in terms of ensuring that we do all that investments in India. And just coming back to your question, we have seen a lot of policy initiatives from Government of India, which has incentivized in terms of manufacturing, creating that manufacturing ecosystem in India. So that's where that ROI comes for us as an organization and for many other organizations who have been into this kind of activities in India. In last 5 years, digital transformation has happened. If you see across public procurement, GEM as a platform, somebody spoke about government e-marketplace as a platform, which has really transformed the public procurement system in India, not just at the center, but of course at the state level as well. I was reading one of the articles today, more than 270 crore worth of procurement has happened on GEM as a platform. So that's the digital transformation that we have seen as a journey in last 5 years. I mean, and that's one of the examples. If you speak, I mean, we have been listening to various panelists throughout the day today, and going by all that, use cases, what people have spoken about, I think there's a massive transformation which has happened, which has led to India being a $3 trillion economy today. And we are talking about $10 trillion economy maybe in next 10 years. And by 2047, the vision says that we need to be maybe a $30 trillion economy, first or second, the biggest economy in the world. So that's the transformation which is going to happen. And of course, digital is going to lead that transformation in India. I'll just take, I'll just digress from the topic that you spoke about because, I just wanted to summarize also. I thought I would be the last speaker in today's panel.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, but somehow it came as a surprise to me because I've been noting down a lot of points which came up during various panel discussions today throughout the day. There are typically, what I could feel, there are typically 4 stakeholders in this digital transformation journey. First and the foremost is the enablers. And enablers, when I say enablers, these are the policy makers, the senior bureaucrat, the government, and the government officials who have been leading this digital transformation journey in India. The second one, which I say, is the creators. And the second category of people are people like us, the industry, and of course, various government establishments who have been, in terms of creating those digital products for consumption for various consumers. The third part of this ecosystem are the consumers. And the consumers are the one who have been consuming all these digital technologies and the digital transformation activities whichever are happening in India. Last and one of the foremost important point, or rather the foremost important aspect in this ecosystem is the environment. I think very less was spoken about making a sustainable progress where we make our environment also sustainable for the future. Because it's not just for us, but for the next generation for whom we have to work on to make this environment sustainable. And that's where that digital transformation or the next future mindset has to go towards to. We as an organization, we took this initiative. Globally, we have been working with a vision and a mission that we want to break barrier between people and technology. So we have been innovating various products which are for mass consumption. But we have also been very sensitive towards the environment. What we have done is now most of the the technology investment that we are doing, that is towards making sure that the products that we manufacture today, they are helping in reducing the carbon footprint, not just in India but across the globe. So one of the key product range that we launched in India is a Vero product range, wherein the products are manufactured using the post-consumer recyclable material. So that is the sort of investment that we have been doing, and that is helping in reducing the carbon footprint by almost 30% for one laptop that we manufacture. That is the transformation that we are talking about. That's the future mindset that we are talking about. Because ultimately, people are going to embrace technology, but not at the cost of their lives, or not at the cost of their future generations. So this is something which I just wanted to put it across, and of course, before I summarize, one important point which I wanted to put across to the policy makers is, why can't we look at, bringing in some sort of incentive for manufacturers who try to bring in, the devices which are able to, create an environment or the future which is sustainable for the country. In case that sort of incentive is given to the industry, a market is given to the industry, more and more people will invest in that technology, which makes one digital transformation very important and successful for everyone, but also help in terms of incentivizing the industry, which would ultimately also answer the question that we started off from, that what is the ROI? So that is the ROI that we are looking at from the industry standpoint. Thank you very much.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for that. So I think my key takeaways there were, look, the ROI factor has to be looked holistically, again, see the bigger picture. And also, I think with technology specifically, you need to look at the human aspects of it, right? How do you make sure it's not invasive while it's creating value, and personalization is there, it's not invasive. Also, it's generally part of your integrated life, right? So it's creating value for you and not at a cost of something else, right? So with this, I mean, let me just pick this up with Rajiv. Rajiv, you next. And we were catching up over lunch on another thing. You're doing some very interesting work in this whole IoT, Industry 4.0, this whole integrated ecosystem. How do businesses basically cover the gap between what they have as legacy tech, which is that erstwhile core, data center format, look at this new tech and still make sense of it, right? Balancing these two worlds call for very different mindset and skill set. So how do you suggest businesses sort of cover that part?
Thanks, Abhinav. And I think before I start, just to lighten the mood, bringing out what Amit and Pranay, today I'm not carrying my wallet. I forgot my wallet. I've come from Mumbai. Everything is digital. Everything end to end, right? So that in itself is a testimony in terms of how our behaviors have changed over the course of last 3 years, right? So whether we believe it or not, transformation is happening, is going to happen, and it will be a continual change. Coming to the question, Abhinav, what you mentioned, and I mean the core discussion which is happening around here is more around what I like to call is an organization change management, right? And now that change management could be in a government or it could be in a business, right? And the legacy versus the new age. So there are two terminologies when you say digital and transformation. Actually, both of them are very different, right? They carry a very, very deeper meaning. A digital could mean just automating a certain system, or I mean, something is happening like that. Why can't I adopt a system? How can't I place a certain XYZ, process over there? Whereas transformation entails a lot deeper meaning, right from your people process, right? I mean, what we like to call in industry is the combination or the triage of man, machine, material, right? In an industrial setup, how do you see these three triage, right? How these three interact with each other? How do you start automating it, right? And in the Indian, and while I come from Tata Communications IoT business unit, our concept is simple about the people first, planet first philosophy, right? So when you talk about the people first philosophy, when you talk with industries and when you talk with different businesses, all of them want to do digital. They want to get onto the bandwagon. What they want to do is a question mark. How they want to do, question mark. Who will help them do it, question mark. By when they want to do it is a question mark. But the first question which always gets asked, which sir addressed, ROI kitna milega? Ye sab chodo, I am investing X money, by when I will get X plus Y. And our focus is always about, look guys, you are on a transformation journey. It will take time. It is going to be a bit painful. There will be a lot of learnings over the way. And more than ROI, the concept that needs to be further entrenched is ROS, return on sustainability. Sustainability in terms of, will you be able to sustain the process by doing this digital adoption? Will this process ensure any kind of other sustainability benefits like what I think he mentioned about the environment part of the story, right? And that also goes true for a lot of smart city implementations. So we do have, we do work with smart cities, right? And we do come across the same questions, and that's the policymakers also, right? The same question. Eventually, when we want to digitize, we do have the budgets. Please help us digitize. But at the end of the day, what is the ROI? And we keep on telling that, look at the broader picture. If I take a very simple example of few solutions which we deploy, right? So a smart street light is one of the flagship solutions which we deploy. And what we have observed is when you start, automating and, what you call, LEDifying your street lights and all, there is a certain benefit that comes, right? Which is a monetary benefit. But one more larger benefit which comes along, which India as a whole, I haven't seen any, smart city, I mean, maybe I'll be surprised if, sir throws more light, is about the carbon credits. So when I'm talking with some of the customers in the Western world, they are actually working on it. That's fantastic. So they're actually talking on carbon credits, that by doing this, please tell me what is the carbon credit, where can I trade it, and what is the element, right? So they themselves are trying to come up with ROI models. So that's where I'm from my lens, if you look at it, there is a long journey. I mean, we have started the journey. While we all are gung-ho about it, it's happening. It's a long journey. There is going to be a huge effort to do an organizational mindset change, a lot of training, and eventually, with India, what COVID has taught us is what was thought impossible is possible at a raw pace. I mean, the pace has been phenomenal. So we are all hoping that, with continue to grow, all of us. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you. Yes, you did. And I think one of the key takeaways, if I just draw an analogy for it, is digital transformation is a 5-course meal and not a 2-minute Maggi noodle. Right? Well, it may be tasty, it's not sustainable and healthy for you. All right. So my next question goes to Mr. K. Rajasekhar. Sir, I mean, in your business, you deal with a lot of data, a lot of technology and intelligence from that data, right? And in my mind, that's a key construct for any digital transformation to be sustainable. What is your take on this, ever expanding data platforms and ever expanding intelligence layer? Where and how should businesses really structure themselves to really take benefit of it before it becomes an information overload and kills the transformation itself?
Yeah. Thank you for the organizers for onboarding us. Now, what is actually happening is digital first. We have a tagline: should be faceless, paperless, cashless, self-servicing, sustainable, eco-friendly, that is green, and also it should consume less number of digital devices. So because most of this, so apart from this, another challenge what we keep in mind while creating the digital transformation solution is we should be able to empower even the, not only the digitally illiterate, even the illiterate masses, like a farmer in a remote village, he should be able to interact with the digital system, enabled systems to get solution for his farmland, pest, disease or insecticide or whatever may be, which may be affecting his crop. Similarly, empowering a remote Anganwadi health worker, he may be a semi-literate, providing services to the bottom of the pyramid. So how to provide digital transformation solutions so as to improve the UI UX of this bottom of the pyramid, because empowering a passenger or empowering a corporate chartered accountant consultant, that is not a issue, that is an easy solution. Even another working out a solution for face, because most of the time, as he said, because our another predecessor said, my face can be taken, why should they take the credit while checking in a five-star hotel? Okay. So face recognition or even live detection is easy problem. Detection of the pest on a leaf is a very difficult problem. It is a much more challenging task. So we are trying to address this. In the process, we are trying to use IoT and industrial IoT, and which are going to exponentially pump in lot of data. Now, one important thing is how to capture this data. Another important thing is what is the prerequisite before the security, because one of the first speakers spoke about the security. Before security, the prerequisite for the security is the data governance. Who owns it? Who is actually the real stakeholders? And what are the, in the perimeter, what is its roles, responsibilities, so as to ensure the security, confidentiality, safety of the data. Now, what actually we are actually going is, we have some examples. UIDA is one example where 130 population data is there. So we have thrown open the standard APIs, CLA, GST and other, because NPCI, lot of APIs, standard, because we have devising standard APIs, we are throwing open the standard APIs for the ecosystem to play so that the government players, the private players, or anybody who are conforms to the standards can interact and also provide a UI UX solutions to the public. That's what actually happening. Lot of, because today when NPCI has been created with a consortium of 120 banks, lot of private players, they came with GPay or Beam API has been exploited, and today in the world, we are not, no way you are using Visa or Master or any other PayPal, etc., etc. And what is top in the digital transformation, what our friend has shared, mobile wallet or GPay or PhonePe, etc. That is how India has transformed over a period of year. So this is a typical example, the exploiting data to make, throwing open the standard APIs and adopting the microservices architecture. So this is actually going to provide a very good environment. We have a lot of examples. Apart from that, as we have a lot of digital literates and we have actually creating a lot of data, even for knowledge discovery or for drug discovery, because we have a lot of medical records, and that's why every company, every organization is looking towards India, because we have a lot of English-speaking population as well as the digital literate population. Our digital literate population is more than double the absolute population of US. So we have a lot of digital data, and that data is a gold mine. Data is new oil, and it is already giving a lot of solutions. So from this, we can discover knowledge, and we can actually, we have seen in the pandemic, instead of 10 years, within a year, the companies are able to come out with an innovative vaccine. So many such solutions are going to come up, and India is going to be a capital for such thing, as we are being providing a lot of, we are creating a lot of data, and also we are creating an ecosystem for all the players to interoperate and enrich. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think some of those insights are worth their weight in gold. I mean, you very, very rightly put, right, the whole API architecture. So as businesses evolve and digital becomes center stage, you need to evolve how your enterprise architecture itself is designed, right, to make it scalable and expandable. And definitely, sir, I mean, the value of data and how to structure that data, I mean, that has to be day zero, if not the -1 thought process, right? So with that, let me call upon Mr. Gopinath. Sir, I mean, in your worldview, right, We've seen digital coming and going, right? We've seen it take different forms and shapes. How do you see, this ecosystem evolving? We've seen startups, we've seen large-scale organizations, we've seen smaller ones that suddenly come into the market, change the whole dynamics of digital. So how do you see this ecosystem playing out in the future?
Good afternoon, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And thing is, I mean, right now, what is the future? I mean, how the transformation is going to happen, say in next 10 years or 15 years, something like that. So one thing is that the distributed trust, distributed computing, I think that is going to take very center stage. That is my view. Thing is that for past 40 years, the tremendous amount of research has been done on that, on distributed computing. So one example is, the one output is the cryptocurrency which we are talking about. And the next one is, now we have digital assets in various servers and various forms we have it. How to convert that into non-fungible tokens so that that can be identified, that can be traded, or that can be transformed. So that's a very big challenge we have, and that is going to be a future transformation. That's what I believe. But still, there are a lot of the skepticism is there. Is it going to really happen, or what are the challenges are there? So in distributed world, the one thing is the security. So even in academic setting, you don't trust any party, any node, or any processes. They don't trust each other. So how do you make the computation on that part? So the academic output, like the multi-party computation, and the tremendous amount of research is going on in academic circle, in IITs, in various US universities, tremendous amount of research is going on. So all these things at some point of time must come into some kind of a tangible product. So I think that is going to be the real transformation where we can leap forward to the next stage. That is my take on that part. But the transformation is not, I mean, something like a single step. So it slowly evolves. It slowly evolves. People understands what exactly happens, and then they take forward. So this kind of transformation which I am talking about, for example, you take cryptocurrency, whether we should have cryptocurrency or not, very difficult to answer. There are a lot of uncertain questions, or a lot of the ambiguity is there. And even if you take a cryptocurrency, there are various amount of, various different types of cryptocurrencies. And some of them are invented by even Turing Award winners. So we can't question that this is good or this is bad. And the subject itself has to evolve, but I think in next 10 to 15 years, a lot of things are going to come out, and that is going to give some kind of the real transformation. And this is my take.
Thank you, sir. That was very, very important. I mean, you mentioned about this whole, technology is evolving. How do you stay in that gray zone and still create value? I think that's what will differentiate the next round of digital transformation. So excellent points. I think the panel has shared very, very diverse but all very relevant points for business to think about when they either start their journey for digital transformation or kind of course correct in mid-flight as new data points evolve. So thank you for this. Have I missed anybody? No, I think we've covered all. But any closing points, any summary before we close the panel? Just one last few closing comments and we can go down.
Because this governance is important, data governance. Apart from the data governance, AI governance is also important, because, for example, a person may take an app, download an app authored by a person overseas, and also may take a prescription. And adverse effects, who has to be responsible? Because whether the app creator is responsible, or the primary care provider is responsible, or the patient is responsible, because this is a gray area. And today, any device, no device can live in isolation. Every device has to be connected. If the two devices are connected, it is a security risk. And at present, the technology, because now coming about the quantum computing, anything can be broken. They can, a hacker can hire the quantum computing service for a few minutes and can hack any mission. So such type of threats are also coming. So whether if you are connected, that is the issue. And so we require the world is getting transformed. In the security area also, the present rules or regulations or the technology is all, none of them are very foolproof. So we need to work out, apart from the sensitization, education, we need to work out the rules and regulations because technology has some limitation. So education and also ethics are also very much important. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, one of the things is that, there's a lot of expertise that is resident in the private sector. And there's a lot of insight from the government about what is required to be done for the benefit of the citizens, I think. So there's a lot of, matching up that's happened that's to take place for the governments to work very closely with the private sector and for the academia to, come up with solutions for the general. I think that is one thing, that we really work closely. And not only that, to keep pace with this emerging technologies, like, he was talking about the mines, IoT, 5G are two important technologies that will make a marked difference in how, you work in the mines. So I think there are solutions that will come up. And the blockchain and digital fiat currency, these are things that, they're going to come about. And using of artificial tools, I mean, we use it for security purposes because of the volume of data that is generated of security incidents. It's highly impossible for you to manage that security. Automation is a requirement, and using of these tools. I think there's a lot of capacity building that has to happen in these new and emerging technologies, and that's where we have to strengthen the institutions and have the private sector coming in place. One of the things, that final thing that comes about, when we had this initial round of digital transformation that was happening, when you had the Y2K and all of that, we had institutions like NIT and APTEP came about. It's not that the government drove the requirements and capacity building happened. And it was not that the certificates were recognized formally with the governments. It was that the industry took them. And then you start thinking about why isn't it not happening in cybersecurity when it's so important? And that's something I think leave it to the audience here is why doesn't that sort of a transformation happen in private sector, cybersecurity, where the private sector takes a lot more initiative than it's currently doing.
Yeah, it's working. So I just want to give one food for thought, like absolutely summed up by all the co-panelists also. The digital transformation journey is unending. We are just, I would say, in the maybe infancy, rightly pointed out, like cyber security has to have, but the more you think about it, the more the other side has solutions to it, or the crack, way to do things. So I mean to say, we need to be more cautious and more, awakened whenever things are coming up, and like this is an ongoing journey, and so many things are happening. So we should be prepared to use all kinds of things which are available. Like I would add one more example, like we're talking about IoT and other AI devices. Drones have a great future. So I think drone technology everywhere, be it mining sector, surveillance, be it, giving some agricultural inputs in the fields. You think about it and you have it. And coincidentally, in our, side of things like international border, the neighbor is throwing some things in tiffin boxes filled with so many things out here through drones. So sky is the limit to use drone technology also. So that's what I would like to sum up with, like it's ever evolving, ever, changing, and adaptability holds the key. That's where we need to actually take a lead, and we need to make a system so robust to counter all kinds of challenges. It's not about hacking at a micro. It's macro level things, international level strategies which are coming up, and especially in the kind of scenario we are living in, the special, the security related issues, the international level things. So we have to think very precisely and prepare ourselves to face all kinds of onslaughts and be ready to counter them. Thank you.
Right, going once, going twice. All right, thank you, my fellow panelists. I think this has been very, very insightful and exhaustive at that. So thank you for sharing your experiences and perspective. Not sure, are we doing on time? Yeah, but any audience, any questions, more than welcome. Please feel free to shoot. What, have we put you to sleep or made everything very clear? Oh, there you are, okay.
Good evening. Thank you, sir. Thanks for giving the opportunity to audience. For the first time, whole day we got opportunity to talk from our side also. Actually, I wanted to put the whole, give a holistic perspective. I don't have any question actually. Things have been put in very clearly, giving different aspects of doing things in a holistic way. I am Gayatri.
Before you go any further, can you please introduce yourself to the audience? Sure.
I am Dr. Gayatri, senior scientist from National Informatics Center. So we have been providing several solutions to state departments and ministries at center and so on. Actually, I wanted to take this opportunity to convey the entire audience and also the seniors sitting in on the dais that there is a framework introduced by Government of India, MeitY, that is called India Enterprise Architecture Framework. So that actually gives certain principles on which enterprises can be architected, like to look at things in a holistic way on several aspects like business, data, application, performance, technology, several things. Not looking at it's not a kind of a leapfrog or a pole vault. So you should also think at several things, and whatever the solution we come up with, that has to gel with the existing business. And also the IT should align with the business. So that is the idea of doing this, coming up with this framework called India Enterprise Architecture Framework. So this framework is available for use by any government enterprise, and the framework is available, it is available on the MeitY's website. So, so I request that, my earnest request is to architect systems, to look at systems in a holistic way, use the reference models and the principles that are advocated in this framework. So India Enterprise Architecture Framework is available. 2.0 has also come up. It is under public review right now. So I just wanted to pass on this information. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think that's most helpful. So anybody who's interested, please feel free. Any other questions?
Produce in the market or beside the road. So any of our discussions, if they help those farmers, if it goes to that extent, it will be very useful.
Mr. Manoj Verma, who's the government head, India and SAARC, from Fortinet Technologies India Private Limited, to please join us on the stage and felicitate the amazing panel that we just discussed, Future of Digital Transformation, the Digital First Mindset. Can we have Mr. Manoj Verma on the stage, please? Transformation, Grant Thornton. A huge round of applause. All right, I have a surprise. From the segment that we get the loudest applause, we have a surprise gift for that segment, right? A very, very good surprise gift. All right, so next up is Mr. G. Narendra Nath, Joint Secretary, Cyber, National Security Council, Secretariat. Mr. Amit Sharma, IAS Secretary, Mining Department, UT of Jammu and Kashmir. No, I'm not getting that loud enough. Maybe I'll keep that gift for myself. Mr. Pranay Singh, IAS Commissioner, Varanasi Municipal Corporation and CEO, Varanasi Smart City Limited. A huge round of applause once again. Dr. Sriram Birudavolu, CEO, Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, T-Hub, Telangana. Mr. Jitendra Verma, CEO, MeitY Startup Hub, Government of India. Mr. K. Rajasekhar, ex-Deputy Director General and SIO, National Informatics Center, Telangana. Mr. Gopinath S., Senior Technical Director and NKN Co-Ordinator, NIC Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Mr. Hitesh Vaidya, Associate Director, Head of Government and Banking Business, ACER. Last but definitely not the least, Mr. Rajiv Desai, Head Strategic Engagements, Products and Solutions, Tata Communications, IoT. I would now request the esteemed panelists to please stand up for a group photograph. Sir, please join us.